This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by Impics. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. On One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another live episode of The Grid. My name is Scott Kelby, and I'm joined today by Mr. Matt Kluskowski.
Hola.
I love when he speaks Spanish. It's so authentic.
It's about the only word I know.
Well, hey, we're very glad to have you guys here. A lot of cool stuff happening. It's the week before Photoshop World, so we're all freaked out around here.
And we won't be here next week, so.
We will not be on The Grid next week. We will be at Photoshop World in Las Vegas. Hey,
Yes.
if you're not going to Photoshop World, we are going to give away a full conference pass on the show today. So stick around for that. We've got some great prizes, including, while we're here, brand new book, A Photojournalist Field Guide. Is this Stacy Pearsall? Yeah, it's Stacy's book. Incredible book. I have this. And Flash Benders from Rogue. Right there. Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. And a copy of my brand new Lightroom 5 book for digital photographers. We're giving all that away on the show today. So I wanted to say this. If next week, so it's 7 days from today, week from today, right? Mm-hmm. Week from today, we kick off Photoshop World in Las Vegas. If you don't want to go to the whole conference or you can't take that much time off, you can get a free expo pass. You can just get a free pass. Mm-hmm. Actually, B&H Photo buys your pass. They take care. It's $20 if you just show up at the door, but if you register in advance, courtesy of B&H, you get in for free.
For the expo,
for the expo only.
Where all the vendors and there's all kinds of classes.
Yeah, there it is, right there, free expo, right there.
There you go.
And so, it's a trade show floor, and there's all kinds of booths and vendors, and everybody from Adobe is there, and you've got Epson and Canon, and all the cool people are there. So come out and see that. And also, Canon's doing a thing. For 200 people, you can get your Canon gear clean. They'll clean your gear. So they have CPS there, and they're actually you just go sign up if you're going to Photoshop World, and they'll take care of you.
You got to be there.
Don't just show up and say, hey, I just want to get my camera clean. And they'll be like, no. Hey, so speaking of Canon, Canon is sponsoring my worldwide photo walk. Mm-hmm. Which is really, really big. It's the first time we've had a camera company sponsor the event, and they are the big sponsor. So first, thank you everybody at Canon for sponsoring the Photoshop World. Photoshop Walk. We walked it. We launched this thing 2 weeks ago. Let me just tell you where we are because it's really cool. Worldwide Photo Walk. I should have had this prepared, but we had an issue. We're almost at 700 cities around the world, almost 9,000 walkers. So that's in 2 weeks. So we're really, really doing good. Last year we had 1,300 cities. So we're almost 700, 694.
Yeah, and we still got almost, over a month to go. So
yeah, it's not till October 5th. So it's starting October 5th all over the world. So anyway, let me get back to my story. So Canon is sponsoring this. And so we're starting to work with Canon, which is great. And then I got to shoot an NFL game last week with some Canon gear. So here at Kelby Training, we're always doing classes, and we're trying to be really on top of when a new camera comes out. Friday, Canon announces the 70D. They have one here in the studio, and they're doing a class on it. And I'm like, can I borrow this? Because I had a shoot so Brad and I did a car shoot. And last time I did a car shoot, I stole a Sony A99. And this thing, it just shipped Friday. Dude, this is brand new. And so what the video guys here were psyched about was it has a particular feature that I think is really unique. It has a touchscreen camera, but the video guys here that work in our building, they're freaked out because what you can do with this, so let's say if I have a picture of Matt here and then Brad is in the background. I can do a video. I can tap on Matt's face and it focuses on Matt. If I tap on Brad's face, it will rack out over and change the focus, but it does it with cinematic quality.
That nice smooth.
It's the smooth transition. It does it automatically. But anyway, so here's what I did. I took this on my car shoot, and we sent our camera crew, and they did a behind-the-scenes video. So it's my first shoot, and I'm going to give you my first impressions of what I really thought of the camera, good and bad, out on location. So we did little like couple minute video. We're gonna play it now, but I got to give a shout out to Juan Alfonso, who is he's our cameraman, but he also is an editor, and he came out. And I think he did an awesome job on this video. It's real short, but you'll check it out right here. Here we go. Hi everybody, Scott Kelby here. We're on location live at Studio 75 down in Seminole, Florida. We're doing another car shoot. We've got a really cool car. It's a BMW 650i, and we're doing our standard setup for our detail shots. For our close-up stuff, we're using the Prio light with a nice long strip back, and it works really, really great. And we've talked a lot about the Prio lights. We love them, but today the star of the show is this camera. So Canon loaned me a 70D. This thing just started shipping this week, and I'm getting a chance to try it out, and I gotta tell you, there's some amazing things about it. I just want to give you my quick first thoughts about it. I'm not gonna go into a real detailed thing. I'm not gonna talk about the megapixels or anything else because that stuff's been out there for months. It has a touchscreen menu in the back. You actually just touch the screen. You don't have to move anything to go through it, so you're not toggling through menus and going up and down. It works amazingly well. It's really, really sensitive, which I love. Also, the quality of the image on the screen is fantastic, and this little swivel, the ability to do that lets me do all kinds of neat things. We can actually take it. I've been shooting cars with holding it down low. I've been putting it literally on the ground, mounted on an F plate with a ball head, and I can just shoot and shoot, and I can see it so perfectly through here. So this stuff right here, I love. I can't wait to try this for sports. Next, the quality of the images. The images look absolutely fantastic. You can see a couple of the images that we did here during the day. We did a couple of different setups. We used full studio lighting setups. We did the detail stuff. We put two big giant soft boxes they had here over the studio because we wanted to try to go very, very dark. My last shoot, we were very, very bright, and that's what the studio was set up for. But Dan here at the studio came up with this way for us to get this really, really dark look, and it was just, we were just having a ball. One of the things that really struck me about it was, because this is a really incredibly low-priced camera for the quality of what it does, but one thing that it has a lot of are buttons. That's one of the things you normally find on more expensive cameras. On less expensive cameras, you're always digging through the menus for everything. Here, there's buttons for everything, so it's incredibly accessible. You're not digging through the menus nearly as much. The things you're going to use the most, the things you're going to use most often are all right here. So what would I change? Well, if I had to whine about anything, here's what I would whine about. The touch screen, it has some amazing features. For example, you take a shot, you can scroll through them right on the back of the camera like you would on your smartphone. You can pinch to zoom to check sharpness. Here's the gotcha. When you first take the shot, unless there's some setting I don't know about or I couldn't find it in the manual, you can't pinch to zoom. You can only pinch to zoom once you hit the playback button. Then you can pinch to zoom and it works like your smartphone. So that was the only thing that kind of, The other thing that I would have to say was, there's a really weird setting in here. If you're a studio photographer, I'm just going to tell you to save you the problem. If you put a flash on here and you use that live view mode, it won't fire the flash. There's a little setting in there that you have to go and turn on that enables you to use any other flash like a Pocket Wizard or a Prio light or whatever. But it's a little nitpicky thing. It seems like the default should be any flash trigger would work, but it's set to only Canon flash triggers. Outside of that, I really can't come up with anything else. This is an amazing, for the money, this is insane. And the video features alone, the guys in my video department, they wanted to play with it before I got my hands on it. They lost their mind. So there's your first look at the brand new Canon EOS 70D, live on location here at our car shoot. All right, so hats off to Wani. He did a rocking job on that video, didn't he?
Great. Good job, Juan. Where's Juan? Were you
we
over there,
were
Juan?
there
I can't
for,
see.
We were there for probably 5
Juan's
hours, and I shot with it the whole time. Anyway,
Hey, Juan, can Juan give us a quick demonstration of his prowess with the camera? Juan, can you move the jib really quick?
Yeah. So, can you move the jib really quick?
There you
wow,
go.
That's it. That's Juan rocking the jib here. Anyway, so I got to use it, and I was amazingly impressed. For the money, look at here's B&H's site. How much is this? The body only. That's $1,200 bucks.
Wow.
For a camera that does that. That adds, it really
20
is
megapixels,
20 megapixels.
too.
I didn't even go, you know what, everybody's covered that stuff to death. Everybody covers that stuff. You know, that's why I didn't want to do a review that says, you know, it's got this kind of sensor, it's got this, it's got that.
Yeah.
Because it's been done to death. So I just wanted to give you, okay, I'm out in the field shooting with it. Here's what I loved. Here's what I want to tweak. And again, there may be some setting that changes that pinch to zoom thing, but anyway, that was awesome. And they should, in the factory, they should change that default setting.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just a Canon flash that works on it. It should be, you know, stick a pocket wizard, it should work. But
That was good, dude. That was good in the field info.
all right, hey, so today's show is about why you need a
Photography.
I just got off a red eye. I just flew in.
It's about why you need a photography portfolio. Did I just get off a red eye?
No, you were here. Why
God, I
you need
feel like
a
I did.
photography portfolio and what to do with it once you have one.
What he said.
So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about all this stuff. There's so much interest in this right now. There's so many people talking about getting their photos online, what to do with them, and all kinds of stuff. We have a whole bunch to talk about, and we're going to kind of refer back to an episode about a month ago that Brad and Pete did, where in RC, where they talked about this stuff. So we're not going to talk about the same stuff. We're going to kind of go in a little bit different direction, but we want to take your questions, and we want to hang out with you. So come right back after this short break. Don't go away. You're live here on The Grid. Hi, everybody. Scott Kelby here, and I want to tell you about a brand new class at Kelby Training Online that I'm very, very excited about. It's called What Makes a Great Sports Photo. And man, have we got the right guy to teach this class. Living legend of sports photography, Mr. Peter Reed Miller.
You know, Scott, I think a lot of photographers are surprised to learn that it takes more than just timing to make a great sports photo. Suppose your school assigns you to shoot a football game. You shoot 800 or 1,000 pictures. The school says, we want the 20 best. How do you know which ones to pick?
And that's what this class is all about. What we want to do is give you a real sense and a real kind of a goal of this is the kind of shot that makes a great sports shot. So when you're looking at all these images on your computer, you will be able to go, that's not good, that's not good. That's the one, that's the one. You'll know exactly what it is. You'll know exactly what to send in. You'll know exactly what to show in your portfolio because you'll really understand what makes a great sports image. And it's not just football. We're covering football, we're covering basketball, baseball, track, on and on. So I hope you'll join us for this exclusive class. It's What Makes a Great Sports Photo with Peter Reed Miller, exclusively KelbyTraining.com. Welcome back, my friends. Hey, this segment of Photoshop user. I'm seriously, I just came off a red eye.
The Grid.
All right. This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Peach Pit Press. So Peach Pit does an ebook deal for our readers every week. And this week, our deal is on a book. Right there. There it is. The book is Classroom in a Book for InDesign CC. So InDesign CC, you can buy the ebook version of this at about 40% off using our special code, which is KelbyTV. So go to peachpit.com/KelbyTV, put in the code KelbyTV, and you get it for 40% off. So thank you, Peach Pit, for number one, sponsoring this segment of the show, and for giving our readers a deal. Okay, so let's talk about, oh, hey, by the way, I want to shout out to everybody yesterday who came out to my seminar in San Jose.
Oh yeah, how'd it go?
It went great. I had like 600 people. I'd never been to San Jose before. I've been to San Francisco, which is 45 minutes down the road. My first time in San Jose, dude, we sold out and had to get a bigger room. I had almost 600 photographers there. The nicest people.
Yeah.
Seriously, the nicest people yesterday. It was really, it was a great crowd. You know, it was one of those crowds that everybody was into it. We had a great time. So thanks to everybody that came out. I'm going to be in Miami on September 13th. I'm going to be in Livonia, Michigan, so the Detroit area, on the 18th of September, and in Arlington, Texas. That's right outside the stadium that I won't be able to shoot in, right there in Arlington, so the Dallas area, on the 20th. So I hope that you come and see me. Matt, you're in Hartford.
No,
you're not in Hartford.
That's
Where
left
are you?
over from
Where
something.
are you next?
Matt is not in Hartford. My next one is Portland, Oregon. I think it's October 11th.
Oh, that's way off.
Yeah, I got a while.
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
What about-
I'm not in Atlanta.
No, it's not you. Yeah.
But I know I got Seattle, Sacramento,
Okay. Sacramento.
Fort Lauderdale. I love Fort Lauderdale.
I love Fort Lauderdale. Okay, anyway.
Jacksonville.
Okay, so our topic today is all about, we don't talk about enough on this show.
Love.
Love.
I love talking about love.
I know.
I'm a
it's all
loving
about
person.
love. You are a loving person.
You can tell, can't you?
Absolutely.
I'm not sarcastic in any way.
You're not. Hey, so there's so much talk right now about portfolios, and everybody, we're kind of in like a portfolio online renaissance. So we've all been online for a long time, but we did a show a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, we had Colby Brown here. Colby's a great guy.
Oh, yeah.
And we looked at photographers' websites, and they would say, "Come, look at our site." Every time we saw a good site, it was one of the new ones.
It was a template.
The new generation of templates sites, and then every time we saw a really horrible one, it was one that they made years ago.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is there is a look today for portfolios. But before we get into all that, why? I think it's really important. Why do you need to have a portfolio? And I talk about this actually on my tour. I didn't really get into it yesterday in San Jose. God, I was there yesterday. It's like weird. I'm back home already. It's like planes. Anyway, here's why I think if you don't have a portfolio, first, why you need one. Even if the public never sees it, you still need one. It's how you know where you are as a photographer. You probably have thousands and thousands of images on your computer, but do you really know what your best 24 shots are? How do you know really where you are? Because you know what it does? It's like, you know how when your kids growing up, I don't know if you must do this with your kids, where you mark
measure,
they're this tall and then they're this tall, and you know where they are. You need that for your photography. You need to know, am I getting better? Am I making better images? Because if you're just taking thousands of images and dumping on your thousands of images, dumping on your computer, you have no idea really where you are as a photographer. So step one is you've got to have one of those just so you know. There are all kinds of other reasons why you need a portfolio, and we'll talk about those during the show. But one of them really is, this is how you know where you are. This is how you can see, because if you take your best 24 images, you're going to sit back and look, and you're going to know at that moment, either I'm doing better than I thought, or you're going to go, I need some work.
Yeah, if you sit back and you look through your portfolio and especially when you get some time and distance from it, I think people, even when it's your photography, you can sit back and look at it and think, this can hang, or like you said, where you're like, ooh, God, I gotta do some work.
Yeah, every time I look at mine, I'm like,
I gotta do some work.
I need work. I gotta do some stuff. Okay, so we're getting a couple of questions already in, and we absolutely want to take your questions during the show. Brad just mentioned there's a couple of questions referring iPad versus print portfolios. Are we covering those, or we're going to talk about those? We'll talk about that right now if we can, before we really get into the nuts and bolts of it. But I think the first overall topic is you need a portfolio for business. You need a portfolio for people to realize that you really are a photographer. But I think the main reason you need a portfolio, if you don't have one, is for you to know where you stand as a photographer. If you want to get better, this is one step. You want to be a better photographer? Put a portfolio up. You can have one up tonight, and we'll talk about that. But so the iPad versus the print. I can tell you what, most people that come to us, like at Photoshop World, we do one-on-one portfolio reviews. At the Google conference, we did them. I would say most people show up absolutely with an iPad portfolio.
Yeah.
They bring an iPad, occasionally a laptop, but almost always an iPad, right?
It's digital in some way.
But can I tell you what? Nothing beats the impact of a print portfolio. They are harder to use. They're not backlit. But when you look at a nice, big, well-presented portfolio, I think, because you know what it is? It really is about impact. And we talk about this with portfolios, is when you look at an image this big, it can only have that much impact. Even a really amazing image. When you look at it full screen, it has more impact, right? I mean, what's the first thing we want to do when we look at our images? We want to look at them big. Then, bang. When you see it printed this big, your images have another level of impact. It really does. And so I can tell you, as a person looking at them, I'm absolutely fine with looking at them on an iPad. I prefer the large iPad to the iPad mini.
Yeah.
Someone just asked, are iPads cool to show your photos on them, or should I just use my phone? I don't want to see anything on a phone. What I want to see on a phone is when we're at dinner. Like, hey, Matt, can I show you a shot? Because I was at dinner with some buddies last night, and we were literally doing that. We're showing, here's a shot, here's my kids, here's that. That's fine. But if I don't think that I would, if I was doing a portfolio and somebody said, I want to show you it on my phone, I'd be like, Come back when you've got it on anything else.
There's a time when it's too, the form factor is too small.
Right,
And
and
that's
that's
that's definitely one of those times. So
Yeah.
when I'm the same as you, when I'm looking at somebody's portfolio, it's, you know, when it's something that like sits in front of you like this, it makes an impact. An iPad's not bad, but if you've got one of those portfolios,
Yeah.
it just kind of feels like it's about that
So
big.
so personally, I like print portfolios. I love print in general. I like print just period. But I'm totally fine with seeing it on an iPad because an iPad is a good enough size,
Yeah.
you know, that you feel like I'm seeing it big enough. I can see detail. It does have some impact, but the bigger the better. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about print as we go. But so first step, you got to have one. Number two is I think actually getting a portfolio is easier than you think it is, because when I ask people like, why don't you have a portfolio? Well, I know I got to get around to it. It's kind of, I don't know anything about the web. It's kind of complicated.
And it goes with what you said before, because this is a renaissance. You know, for years we thought if you got a template cookie cutter website, they were ugly. They were ugly, and they were non-customizable. So the website didn't look good, and you couldn't customize it very well. So what people had to do is they had to go find a custom website. So they either had to know web programming, or they had to go pay thousands of dollars.
Or buy RC's book.
For someone. But RC's book is even part of the renaissance. You know, I'm talking before that, and people are just kind of now, I think, realizing that it's not that
I like
hard.
that. Are you quoting that term? An online portfolio renaissance?
Renaissance.
It's a renaissance time.
But I think it really is when it comes to that, because gone for portfolios and for many of those things, gone are the days of going and hiring a web designer.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to spend thousands of dollars, and you're going to get a web portfolio that really you can't change. So now you're going to have to pay more money if you ever want to change it.
No, you're right.
So, and I think it's just people are kind of stuck back in that. Well, God, I gotta find a designer.
That's what I would. That's how I wound up on SmugMug. I went up on SmugMug because RC was maintaining my website. And if I had to change a site, I literally had to send an email to RC and I go, RC, take out picture number 17 and replace it with this one. And so RC's a busy guy. He's on the road, he's doing stuff. And so I saw a little thing that it was as a banner that said free 14-day trial for SmugMug. I was like, bing. And I had a site up in 30 minutes. I'm like, this is the greatest thing, because I can tweak it and change it the way I want. And I don't have any web design skills. I don't know HTML. I don't know any of that stuff. Anything that I do with the web, we have a department of people that handle it. They're all web geniuses. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so SmugMug for me was, and this I started on the old SmugMug, not the new fabulous SmugMug. I was on the legacy SmugMug, which we'll just call it that. Hey, some questions are coming in. Riker VP says, while having an online portfolio, should one have diversity in shots or focus mainly on one type of photography? I personally go across the board to gather as many different types of client needs. Man, you know what? So Riker, I have a portfolio consultant that I hired, and she's amazing. Stella is. If you've watched Zach Arias's class on Kelby Training, Stella is a guest on it, and she was a huge hit on that class. Everyone's talking about Stella because she just is a portfolio consultant. She's great, and she was talking about this very topic one day, and she's going, people think that clients are going to look through and they're going to go, oh look, he has this one image that he does that, I'm going to hire him. Mm-hmm. No one's going to hire you for that one image. One time you shot a product shot, I'm going to hire this guy. So for what you're saying is like covering everything. I really think that's the wrong way to go.
I'd agree.
Because think of it from a client's perspective. Are you really going to hire somebody that has one photo? Or are you going to hire the guy that has 20 photos of what you want? Mm-hmm. So let's say that you were looking for a product shot. You can hire the guy that's got a whole 24 images of great product shots, or the guy that has a bird and a car and a sports shot and a product shot and
fashion.
There's fashion. He did product shot. I'm hiring him. Yeah, I really, really, really think that's
not the right. You got to specify.
I'm tired.
Well,
man. I'm looking at my mic. That's not a good sign.
To build off of that, I think people have a hard time. People want somebody to be good at something. So no one's going to visit your portfolio and say, wow, he's good at everything. I'm going to hire him for everything.
Yeah, I'm going to hire him for everything.
They want, just by nature, they want somebody, and they want to put you into a bucket of, He's my fashion guy. He's my food guy. He's my sports guy.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen no matter what you do. No one's going to come to your portfolio and say he's good at everything and just hire you for everything.
Yeah.
Even
So-
if you are good at everything and maybe you're better at fashion than the next guy, I still bet you they go to the next guy for fashion if they hired you for something else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, pick something that you want to be known for.
All right, let's see. Mikey says, here comes the Smug Mug plug. You know what, Mikey? I use Squarespace. So go to squarespace.com for $8.99 a month. There's a Squarespace plug for you.
You know, thank you. My sports portfolio is at Squarespace.
Who else can we plug? 500px.
500px.
Go to 500px.
Go to
They've got cool
500px.
stuff too. So
I
let's
actually-
plug everybody else too.
You know, in my tour, I actually talk about 500px. In my tour, I show their website. You know what I use 500px for? Now 500px is more of a community. You do have a portfolio. They do have portfolios now, and they're actually quite nice. But you know what I talk about them? I use 500px for research. If you're going to go, I'm going to go to Rome for my photo walk, I'm only going to go one place to find out where to shoot in Rome, 500px.
Can I ask Mikey back a question though?
Oh, ask Mikey.
So, Mikey, if you're still watching, so tell us what we're supposed to say. If we're not supposed to plug Smug Mug and we're not supposed to plug Squarespace.
Hey, we can't mention 500px.
I'm serious. Tell us what we're supposed to. What would you rather us say? Would you rather us tell you to go to a designer and spend $2,500?
Everybody go hire a web designer.
Yeah. If you go do it. But seriously, what are we supposed to say? Anyway.
Well, you know what it is? Here's the reality. This is where we are right now. This is literally where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's basically 4 or 5 companies, and they all are different, and that's why you kind of, and I don't want to go into that. Here's why. Back on episode, it was a month ago, where Brad.
July-ish.
July-ish. Episode number 106. Thank you, Brad. They did a whole show on what was different from 500px to Smug Mug to Zenfolio. They went over the pricing. We're not going to do that today. That's not what we're going to do. But where the market really is there are now these companies, all of these companies, that offer really inexpensive pricing, great templates, and you can have a website tonight. So to Matt's point, should we talk about those companies that rule this thing and are great? Or should we tell you to go hire a web designer? Yeah. Because you know what would happen if we did that? People would go, why aren't you telling people to save money? And go, I don't know. You can't win on this stuff. You know, if you mention a product, I know. You have to. You're getting paid.
I am genuinely interested to see what Mikey thinks we should have said instead.
Yeah.
So I'd love for him to come back. Anyway.
And by the way, hey, I don't get any money if you go to Smug Mug and you say Scott Kelby sent me. I don't get a kickback. I should. I don't get some kind of a kickback if you go to any one of these.
All right.
Which is just not fair. All right. Hey, Moern says, do you have a workflow for selection or do you use keywords? I'm not sure what that means. So
I know I don't use keywords.
I don't use keywords either. Can you restate that? Because you're watching. If you could kind of tell us a little, I'm not sure what you mean there. McCollahan, thank you. I agree with that, Scott, but if you're not using your site as a professional photographer and just want to see where you've been or where you are, do you limit the number of photos in categories or do you post what you think is your best stuff? Number one, you should always just post your best stuff. It doesn't do you any good to post work that's you're not proud of. That's marginal. Yeah. Why would you post that? Let's see. I want to. This is a good question.
Oh, with Alexandra?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was still on McCollahan.
Okay.
But I wanted to break it down. He said, so if you're not using your site as a professional photographer, and just to see where you are, do you limit the number of photos? You're doing this for you.
Yes.
Right? You're doing it to help yourself. I would say 24 photos. Get your best 24. Remember, this is just for you. You're only be fooling yourself if you put up 60.
Yeah, and I would
get it down to 24.
I would agree. Limit the number of photos, limit the number of categories, and we'll talk about categories at some point because there's thoughts on that too. But limit the number of photos and categories, and I think there's different degrees of who will see this. So if you're not a pro and you're not showing this to commercial clients, right. It is for you. You just want your best photos up there. But also, I think a lot of this is for your friends and your family too. You got to remember, photography, for most people watching this, if you're not a pro, this is a passion.
Yeah,
right?
It's something you're serious about and you really care about it.
And it's something, if you're like most of us out there, it is something that your family and friends have sacrificed something for, whether it's income or your time. right?
Right.
Because, your spouse has sacrificed income because you went and bought a camera. So it's for them too. So you don't want anybody. Could you take the stupid sign off of there? So you don't want anybody to not see your best work, right?
Right, especially you.
Yeah. Anybody
But no,
that
I hear what you're saying,
anybody that you're putting it up there, you want them to see the best 20 photos, not the best 30 from your waterfall section and what you think maybe your best 60 sports photos are. You want them. I can go to a portfolio, and if that portfolio has 10 kick-ass photos, I'm never gonna think this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Are you gonna think, well, he only has 10 photos on here, he must suck? No, if he's got 10 killer photos, you think he's awesome.
Hey, can I tell you what I think is? I agree. I so agree. I know some professional photographers that have literally 9 or 10 photos up there. They're all amazing, and you leave and you go, wow.
Yeah.
So if you add 20, then it's probably going to dilute it, because now you're not seeing your best 10. You're going to see if you add 30, 40, it's just, if you just show your very best stuff. But I think for you and for your family and friends, you want to show, here's my very best work, here's what I'm capable of doing, what do you think? But on the flip side of that, I had a good point and I completely forgot it. Doggone it. That happens to me like all day, every day. Hey, we have to take a break anyway in big letters. When we come back, it's very possible I'll remember that, but it's a 50-50 chance that I won't.
It's a crapshoot.
It's a crapshoot. Stick around. We're live right here on the grid. We're taking your questions. We have giveaways. Matt's here. Blah, blah, blah.
Bye.
And now pull out. Hey, we are back. Welcome back to the grid. We're live. Matt Kloskowski here with Scott Kelby. And went to this part of the show. This segment of the show is sponsored by MPix, MPix.com. They are our online photo lab. And by ours, I don't mean we own them. I mean that we use them. Everybody here uses
I wish we
MPix.
did.
I wish we did. My gosh, there's something. But anyway, they're our online photo lab. You take your images, you upload them to their site. Get in there by 11 in the morning, you have big prints back the very next day. They're amazing customer service, amazing stuff, and they're our sponsors, so they help us bring you this show for free every week. So go check them out, mpix.com, and if you've never used them, you will use them one time, and you will love them forever. All right, I remember what it was. I actually wrote it down. So a guy at my seminar, so at the end of my seminar, you fill out a form, or an evaluation form. You tell us what you like and what you didn't like. I read every single one of them. Often on the plane, if it's not too late a flight. And I'm saying that because I didn't get to read mine last night. I slept. It was a red eye. So I have a stack of like 600. It's this big to go through. But I read them all. And a guy wrote on the back, hey, would you mind like looking at my portfolio and tell me what you think? And so I did. I went and looked at his portfolio, and he actually had some very nice shots. But he had a mistake that I see a lot of people make. And it's the opposite of what you said, of just using 10 shots. But he had a category that maybe he had 16 or 17 shots, and he had an engagement couple. He had like 9 shots of the same couple.
Same person.
Or the same person. It's the same thing. So what happens, and this is what I wrote back to him, I said, when you show the same person or same couple again and again, what it's telling the viewer is, you don't have that much experience. I haven't shot 20 of these. I basically shot 2. So there's 9 images of this one person and then 7 images of the other. It really says you don't have that much experience. I would rather just see a handful of images, 3 or 4 of 4 different people, than I wouldn't want to see 9 of the same people. And I know what his problem was. He's having a hard time picking, well, which one of these are the best?
Yeah.
They were good photos. He was a good photographer. They were good photos, but it sends a message to us. And I think that's what we forget about with our portfolio, that we're forgetting how the public is interpreting these things. Like, You know, and so many people, and I heard a very famous person say this to me within the last 6 months. He had all these shots in his portfolio, just a tremendous amount of them. And he's like, well, I'm afraid a customer's going to be looking for a certain thing and I don't have it. I want to be sure I can do every lighting setup. I can do every kind of thing. I'd like, honestly, it's just not how clients don't look at that and go, oh, that's what I want, a guy that can do every lighting scenario.
Anybody though, think about, just put yourself, what I would say to that guy is, you put yourself into that position. The viewer comes to the website and we see a killer image of, you know, Erin is her name. You know, she's a model, and killer image of Erin, and then you hit the right arrow key, and now you see another killer image of her. I don't think we can process that many killer photos of a person. It's like we pick one, we see one, and it's like everyone from that point on, even if it might be a better lit shot, kind of becomes like, I've already seen her.
Yeah, it dilutes it and dilutes it and dilutes it.
You never put 3 pictures of Mesa Arch on your portfolio.
No, you would have one picture of Mesa Arch.
You'd have one picture of Mesa Arch, and that's it.
And you know what? I know people struggle with this. They go, but I've got 3 amazing pictures. Yep. Right, pick one of them. Hey, Alexandra has 3 questions, and we'll try to get through them real quickly. So Alexandra asks, should we include licensing and copyright information on our website portfolios so that a potential client understands that we value copyright and we license our images, or is that a shot in our own foot? Alexandra, this is just my take on it. I think that's a shot in your own foot. Anyone that's actually really going to buy your photos already understands copyright.
Yeah.
If you're looking at hoping to get picked up by a magazine or an advertising agency or stuff, believe me, they understand the idea of licensing images. They understand about, they're not just going to grab it off your website and take it. And if they do grab it off on your website and take it, it's probably the best thing that'll happen to you, because you'll get a lawsuit for way more than you would have gotten in the first place. But so I think that would be shooting yourself in your own foot. I think it would almost be showing some kind of immaturity to the, you know, because they're not going to see that. You're not going to go by Joe McNally's site and there's a thing that talks about how Joe values his copyright. You wouldn't see that. Question number 2, how do you avoid doing portfolio work for free in food, photography, architectural, and not people? I'm not sure if I understand what the question is. How do you avoid? What do you think she's saying there?
I'm guessing maybe she's saying that she's doing an architectural interior job for somebody for free and maybe using it in her portfolio. In which case I would say, I don't care how you fill your portfolio.
Yeah.
Fill it.
Because you want to use that to get paying work.
Yeah.
I would not put like a picture and write in the corner, shot for free. No one will know whether the image was shot for free or not.
Dixie Dixon talked about this last week where she said, you know, a lot of times she's working with model agencies that maybe she couldn't afford to hire the model, and this was when she was first starting. She said she couldn't afford necessarily at that time to hire the model from the modeling agency. So she would approach them and say, I'll shoot and they can use these photos. So it's kind of like a win-win.
And you can build your,
So you're helping someone sell their home, and in turn, they're helping you build your portfolio by giving you access to a beautiful house that you can then put in your portfolio.
And question number 3, how would you know if your portfolio is any good without spending hundreds on photo editors? I don't trust cheerleaders. You know, it's funny because I talk about this on my tour too, because I go, you know why? And I talk about this show, The Grid, why we do blind portfolio critiques. And I tell this story is because no one's really going to tell you, nobody you know, none of your friends are going to look at you and go, Matt, you suck. You need to sell your stuff.
Not good.
Your wife's not going to do it. Your husband's not going to do it.
You do it to me every day.
I do not. No. In fact, I just saw a beautiful shot of yours a minute ago I was raving about. But no one that knows you and likes you is really going to tell you, you know what? You just don't have it. You're just not really any good. And so I think that it's important that somebody that is dispassionate can look at your work. So without having to pay somebody, I'll bet that you know somebody whose opinion you trust. A photographer whose opinion you trust, because it really has to be someone you trust, because sometimes photographers will
ding you because
they'll ding you because it makes them feel better. You need somebody you can trust. So I think finding somebody like that, you don't have to go hire somebody to do it. All right,
dude. I think we all do it. Like I have a very select group of people I show photo to because it's only people I trust that want me to get better.
Right. And you know what? I have a little group. Like the other day, I sent some shots to just a few people and said, hey, I'm trying to narrow this down to 8 shots. Let me know which ones. And they're people that I trust, that I know, that are looking out for my best interest. And we do it a lot internally here. Like I'll go to Matt's and, what do you think? Or Matt will show me a shot and all. And I know that when I go to Matt, I don't want Matt to go, hey, dude, good shot. I want Matt to only say that if it really is a good shot. I need the truth, because I don't want to put something out there and find out later, yeah, dude, we never liked that shot. I remember one day, I remember bringing like Brad and Matt and RC into my office, and I was trying to get an image out of my portfolio, because if I say I'm putting 24 in there, the only way one comes out or one goes in is if one comes out. And so I'm going through these pictures, and I'm like, okay, guys, I can't pick one to go out. And I go, and I get to this one picture, and they're all like, oh, yeah, dude, that's got to go. I'm like, really? That one? And like, oh, yeah, we never liked that. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? And like, yeah, we never liked that shot. I don't know why you like it. I'm like, oh.
And just to show you guys that, because we do that around here, and I won't name the person, but we had a portfolio intervention with somebody. So they didn't even ask us what we thought, and we 3 of us went into their office, and we said, that picture's got to go. We'd seen it somewhere too many times,
and we said,
that picture's got to go.
Gotta go.
Take it out.
And that's the quote of the day. Sometimes you have to do a portfolio intervention at Matt Kluskowski. So yeah, that was a great story.
Right.
But okay, Alexander came back and said, in other words, how do you photograph an interior for someone without doing it for free? I never had a paying client after I did that. Well, you know what? So that's a business issue, because can I tell you what? I don't know any photographer that hasn't done some free work. Mm-hmm. Everybody, because no one's going to hire you just to say, I really don't have any experience, I really don't have any clients, but I'd like to get $1,200 for this shoot. Everyone's going to have to start someplace. So that's you're having a different issue. It's not like someone in your hometown of 3 million people said nobody has to pay her again because she once did a free interior shoot. Yeah. You might not get that client to pay you again, right? Because they said, well, it's very hard once you've done it for free once. But if you nailed it, if you really, you produced an amazing image and they know, wow, I've tried 3 other photographers and I paid them, and now this one that did it for free, I think you have a chance. But I think that's more of a business issue.
I think part of it is also it's how you approach it. So if that person came to you and said, will you shoot this house? I don't have any budget, but you can have the house to shoot the architecture for free. And you said, oh yeah, sure. And then you went in with your camera and you walked out and you gave them some photos. That's not going to help. If when they asked you to do that, you said, okay, I don't make this a practice, but I like this house, I like this building, whatever it happens to be, I'd like to use it in my portfolio in return to get more business. I would do this for you for free as a one-time thing.
And so I don't want you to go, hey, Scott and Matt said you should shoot for free. We're not saying that you should shoot for free, but I can tell you, I don't know of a photographer at some point in their career that hasn't done something to build their portfolio for free. Yep. Nobody should want to work for free, because your time is valuable, your equipment is valuable, your skills are valuable, and I hate that some of this has been devalued, right? That now people are like, I don't have to really hire a photographer. My friend's got a good DSLR, he'll shoot my wedding. I hate that part of it. But I think it's disingenuous for us to pretend that people haven't built their portfolios in trade. But there has to be something in it for you and something in it for them. And it's going to be very hard to go back to that customer and get money. But that doesn't mean that you can't take those images and build it into something. Yeah. We've got a lot.
And leave them with a pricing sheet when they're done. When you're done.
Yeah, leave them with a pricing sheet and say, hey, you like those images? Let me send you a pricing sheet. I'd love to do it for you again. That's a good idea. Yeah. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, there's a lot of good questions today. I really want to get to Mac's question. A question from the Netherlands. I can't pronounce the guy's names. Help me out with the name.
Hassan Biani.
Hassan Biani, that's good. Hassan Biani from the Netherlands. There's a lot of good questions. We got some good stuff coming up. And I want to talk about some things about how do you protect your images in an online portfolio and stuff like that. Right when we come back, right here on The Grid. Don't go away.
Could be Haas and Ibani.
Could be.
Get the world's best photography, lighting, and Photoshop training at Photoshop World. It's 3 non-stop days of real-world training where you can get personal attention and unlimited access to the world's top instructors in Photoshop and photography. When you attend, you'll have chances to experience hands-on live shoots and workshops. This is the must-attend conference for photographers and Photoshop users. Register before August 2nd and save $100. Sign up today. Photoshop World, the world's best Photoshop and photography conference.
Hey, we're back. Scott Kelby here with Matt Kloskowski. You're live on the grid. Brad just pointed out something that it's kind of an aside. Brad says anytime that RC does a website for somebody for free, because RC does help out usually people in our industry. He'll help out somebody, and he's made a lot of great connections and things to that. He still gives the person an invoice in the end with the price that he normally charges, then shows the discount and a zero balance so they know the value of what he's given them. RC's a smart guy.
Yeah, I had something done to my car today.
Do you know where RC is right now? RC, let me tell you how smart RC is. RC is in a $2,750 a night suite, right?
In St. Lucia.
In St. Lucia, at one of the top 4 hotels in the world.
Jade Mountain.
Yep. And Matt and Scott are at work. That tells you anything.
He's a smart guy.
Doing the free website, I hadn't heard him. Let's get a couple of.
All right, Netherlands guy, Hassan Biani. 24 is great for a portfolio. You can use the rest to feed your blog.
Hey, that's very good. So I want to say something about that. This is a really good question. 24 is a great number for your portfolio, and you're right. You can use other ones, but you know what I would tell you is kind of be careful of what you actually put on your blog, and here's why: because people that come to your blog, they don't look at your portfolio every day. They may look at your portfolio the first time they came there. They're not keeping up with your portfolio. You know what they are going to judge your photography on?
What's
the
on your
last
blog?
image that you put up. And so I've had friends and I've pinged them and said, you know what?
This is another intervention we had.
Yeah, if you go, I'm just trying something new. It's experimental and it didn't come out that great. Unless you're using it for a teaching moment, like I've put up shots that were disasters, like when a ref walks in front of a shot I'm trying to take, or my camera focused on the wrong thing. I'll put them up just kind of just for fun. But a lot of times people put up images and they're like, I'm kind of trying this out, it didn't come out that great or whatever. They'll judge you on what they saw last. And I would just be careful about what you do put in your blog, and I'm pretty careful about it.
They read text last, and they look at the photo first.
Right, you're right. And you know what else I do? I always put up, if I shoot a shot with an iPhone, I always put iPhone photo, and people go, oh, why do you put that? And I want you to know, this is not my work. I documented a picture of this thing because I want people to know this is not representative of my work. This is representative of my cell phone. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Same thing.
Mac asks, how do you protect your images on an online portfolio? Matt.
Don't.
I love this guy.
Just don't do it.
You can't. If you want to protect your images, don't put them on the web.
Yeah.
There is no way to protect your images online. If you make a screen capture of them, I don't care if they can't drag and drop it. If you make a screen capture of it, it's the exact same thing.
You still get. Put your images up on the web as large as they would need to be viewed on the web. As big as a computer screen would be. At that point, anybody that wants to pay is going to pay. Anybody that wants to steal your work is going to find a way to steal your work. They'll get past right click. They'll get past the watermark. They know Photoshop. They know all this stuff. And so what's your options? Because people are asking about watermarks. What's your option? Do you watermark the crap out of your image so now you've degraded the quality of how your photo looks? Or do you put a nice little watermark in the corner of your photo, which may not degrade the way the photo looks, but anybody that wants to steal it, it's a clone stamp. It's a clone stamp brush away.
Yeah. So, and you know what it is? All a watermark really does is distract your attention from the image. It really does. And there, you know what? The best thing you can do, the best thing you can do, absolutely, is to register your copyright. Register your copyright with the Copyright Office. That's big. You can add Digimark if you want to try to, but don't do anything visible on the front of your image. It will. You know what it is? Go look at the really big people in this industry. Go look at the very biggest people. You're not going to find watermark. You're not going to see Joe McNally with Joe McNally in big letters across his
and
image
those
stuff.
images are worth.
Those images are worth. All right.
I was trying to pull up an example. I think somebody that does a good in between, because there is branding.
That's different.
There is branding, and somebody.
Right.
I can't.
I'm going to move on while you're looking for that.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
Gary C., what's the difference between a portfolio site and a site to sell photos? You might say 20 in a portfolio, but what if you want to offer? What if you have more that you want to offer for sale? For example, a portfolio on Squarespace and sell on SmugMug, because Squarespace and SmugMug are hooked together. And remember, if you go to Squarespace or SmugMug, put the word Scott Kelby in there so I get a kickback. Anyway, kidding. Let's see. Well, they're kind of different. But you know what? Can I tell you this? What do you think about that, Matt? Because
what's the
I know
difference between a portfolio site to sell your photos? Okay, here's what you might want to say. 20. Okay, so here's what I would do. If you're selling your work, you have a portfolio. Okay, there's a couple different circumstances.
Yeah.
If you're like fine art, okay, you've got your portfolio of your best 20, 24, 30 image, whatever it is, and then chances are what I've seen the most and what I think works the most is a buy prints. Or buy.
Yeah.
A buy link that's right on there, and then they go to the buy link
rather
and they
than
can buy
saying
the
go
difference.
look at another page of things for sale. Right.
Now, let's say you're an event photographer. So you're shooting sports, you're shooting weddings, you're shooting indoor events, whatever it happens to be. That's different. You still, like, let's take wedding photographer. Okay, you're a wedding photographer. You know, wedding photographer. Wedding photographer. So you go to myphotos.com. There's a portfolio on there. Okay, this is to sell potential clients who come to your website of your body of work. When the wedding's over and you photograph them, you don't put them up on your portfolio. You give them a client's link. And that's where it goes to, I think he said, you know, something like SmugMug.
Right.
Because then it goes to your SmugMug site that lists, it's basically a client proofing gallery of the 100.
I'm wearing a SmugMug shirt. I forgot.
And Zenfolio has something similar. There's a lot of websites out there. But you're going to give them a link to their gallery. You're not going to put that gallery up on a public website and say, here's my portfolio. It's not your portfolio. It's a gallery for that client.
Right.
Now, maybe there's a killer shot from that wedding that comes out of that client proofing gallery and goes into your homepage on your portfolio.
Right.
But the rest of the world should never see that stuff.
Exactly.
And if you're fine art or whatever, just put a buy prints link on there and sell it that way.
Gary, okay, that was Gary. Greg Miller, is your logo on the bottom of each picture in your portfolio a good idea? No, Greg, it's a very bad idea. It's a watermark. Again, go look at the biggest photographers out there. They don't do that. RZF Images, I love this. Hey, portfolio intervention can be a great reality show. Dude, that's what we should do. We should do an episode of The Grid. Call it portfolio intervention, and we go and we choose that one image, and everybody's, and we go, you got to get rid of this one shot.
I got what I was talking about before.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, please.
The branding. All right. So before, remember we were talking about branding, and we're saying how there's a way you can brand your photos without necessarily putting a huge watermark on them. I think Tamara Lackey does it really well. If you look at what she does, I have her website up here. If you look at what she does, she puts this bar off to the side, and so she's got her name, Tamara Lackey Photography, and then she usually takes a color. You'll see she samples a color from the photo for that bar.
Hey, can you show how to do that in Photoshop? Because there's actually a trick to it.
Absolutely. So let's
You can do it in.
Here, I'm just going to do a screen grab of this photo from Tamara's website. There we go. Are you stealing her pictures? I'm stealing Tamara's pictures.
Stealing her pictures. There we go.
All right,
and
so
now put this in your own portfolio.
I'm putting it in my own portfolio. And so here's one little trick. Set your background color to white, go to the crop tool, and then you can extend it.
All right, very good.
Then I take the marquee tool and just make a little rectangular selection there. I do it on its own layer, so that way you could save this and you could use it over and over again. But now all you do is take the eyedropper and just
steal that pink color.
And then
fill the selection.
Fill it. I liked her pink color better.
Yeah, there, that's a better pink color right there.
Right there.
There you go.
And fill it with that selection. Now it's on its own layer, and that way, next one that comes along, you could change it, put your
Now,
text on top.
I
of
will
it.
say this: Tamara actually has a brand.
Mm-hmm.
She has a brand, because if you don't really have a brand, if really nobody knows you, I don't know how much value that will give. But once you have built a brand and people know, Tamara definitely has a brand.
Yeah.
So I think in her case, it's very important to do this.
Yeah.
Because she's a teacher, she's an instructor, she's a photographer, and she teaches a lot. I mean, she's everywhere. So.
But
she has
it's a
classes
good
on
way to
cover
not
training.
intrude
Right.
on the photo.
Right, it doesn't intrude. I think that's a good way to do it. Christopher Arnold, once you decide on the number of images, how much should you update the images? Update those. So Christopher, I would really say this, because Brad's got a really good comment to this in a moment, but for my football portfolio, I haven't shot football in 7 months until Friday, and then tomorrow night I shoot again, which that's a long time not to shoot something. Anyway,
You like to shoot, yeah.
it's crazy. But I'll say this. I don't update my portfolio until I have something that's better than something that's in my portfolio. So if I choose, I think in my sports football, it's it's the Squarespace portfolio, I have 19 football shots. When I get a better one, then I take one out and put it in. I probably might get up to 20 or 22 or something, but that's about it. But once you get to that point, I have to have one that's better than that's in there for one to come out. But Brad's got a really good comment in reference to Chris's comment. Brad says, I know of a photographer who is regularly hired by commercial and editorial clients who updates his website regularly, but he holds some of his work back to only show in his print portfolio so that when he meets with the clients, he can show them new work that they haven't already seen on the site. That's very good. That's a smart guy. To do that, though, you have to shoot a lot. You have to do a lot of client work because you have to be able to.
So what would you say to just somebody that's not showing it to commercial and editorial?
I would say
clients?
the same thing. I would say you pick your best 24 shots, and because I think this is a good way to drive your creativity and push you. I want to make this a portfolio image. I'm trying to take an image that's so good that's better than any other image I've taken. That one of those that I thought was my best has to come out.
Yep.
And I think it constantly raises the quality of your portfolio, right? As you keep taking one out and they keep getting better, your portfolio gets better and better and better. And this goes back to the very first thing I said at the beginning of the show.
Go.
Is that you'll know where you are as a photographer. If you know that over the course of the year you had 24 shots and you replaced 12 of them or 13 of them, you're getting better. If at the end of a year you still have the same 24, you're like, I haven't created anything better than what I did. I had a stagnant year. I need to do something to move myself up. That's why it's like I said, marking the things on the wall of the height of your kids. You see progress, you see status, they're getting bigger and bigger. When you lock it down to 24 photos and only replace it with new stuff, you can see at the end of the year your mark of how you did over the course of the year. So I think I was able to replace in football quite a lot. I think I had a much better year for football last year than I had in the past. I shot more too. I got season credentials to shoot the Bucks, which I picked up this year's today. So very excited. But that way I could see at the end of the year, hey, I made some progress. I felt like last year was a good year for me in that aspect. In car photography, I think I spent a lot of time on it. You did on your landscape stuff, right? Your landscape portfolio came just
totally different this year.
But you dedicated a year to say, I really want to work on this. And if you look at Matt's portfolio today, I think it's tremendously better than it was. And I think in a year it'll be better, and you'll continue to see if you're moving in the right direction. And that's why I think a lot of this is so important. Hey, we're gonna take a short break. We got giveaways coming up and a couple more questions. So stick around. We're live here on the break. I'm red eye, flying all night.
When I'm photographing kids, I have some idea of what I want to get. I'm effectively trying to capture the whole of who they are as best I can in the short amount of time I have. I want to teach you to see more than where a child fits in a frame, but what's going on underneath in terms of what's going on in their head, what's going on with their emotions, what's coming next. Hi, I'm Tamara Lackey, and I'd like to invite you to check out my course on kelbytraining.com.
We're back, Scott Kelby and Matt Koskowski. Brad was just telling me there's a stream of comments going on about how easily I am distracted. It's true. I swear. Ooh, shiny object,
Yeah.
squirrel. It
happens.
It does. Yeah.
All right, so
an issue.
McCullahan, does Scott sell any of his football photos? I'd be interested in a Bucks photo for my brother. Huge fan.
No, you know what I do? I don't sell the football photos, but what I do.
He said doo-doo. Which, by the way, I admire this guy because it's very hard to be a huge Bucks fan right now. Anyway. Hey, I'm a
Dude, the
Bucks fan
season
too.
hasn't started.
I
They
know,
won.
I know,
They beat
dude.
Miami.
I'm hopeful.
All right, tomorrow night they're going to beat the Redskins. They're not starting RG3, right?
It'd be easier to be a Bucks fan if we could watch our games, watch the
They're
games
not
on
blacked
TV.
out all the time. Yeah, I know. You know what? That's really why I got a season credential because
You got to see the home games.
so I get to see the home games. All right, no, that's just kidding. So what was I going to say? Crud. No, about the football photos. God.
Do you sell your football photos?
No, but you know what I do sometimes? Like if somebody is like a fan or something, I just make them a print and send them a print. And when I say I make them a print, I mean Brad makes them a print. I'll set it up in a nice border and all that, and I'll send somebody a print. I don't really do that, but I do it for people that are they're diehard sports fans. You know what's interesting? So the other day, this is really embarrassing. So I'm on a flight, and I start talking to the woman next to me, and I start talking about why I've shot baseball, but I don't really like shooting baseball. I said, love football, and she's like, really? And I said, baseball? I said, the thing about a football game is you can have a football game that ends at 3-3, just 3-3, ends in a tie, won't end in a tie, 6-3, whatever. And you can get amazing photos in a low-scoring, nothing game. But at a baseball game, you can shoot for 5 games and never get a good shot because something magical has to happen. So many guys are hitting grand slams and everyone just jogs in to home plate.
Yep.
There's a lot of walks. And shooting people in the outfield, I don't care if you have a 600 millimeter lens, it's like shooting ants out in the outfield. So it's got to happen in the infield. The play is going to basically happen at second base. So I always have like a remote camera aimed at second. It's hard to get good baseball shots. I'm not saying that people do that, but don't do that because people do.
Not great
but
baseball
it's
shots.
really hard. I think it's one of the hardest sports to get really good shots at, and my hat's off to people that are great at it. So I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's like, "So you don't really like baseball?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she says, "My son's a baseball player." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great." I figure her son's playing in high school, and her son plays for the Atlanta Braves, and she was on her way to Atlanta to see her son.
Nice.
And her other son also plays for the Arizona Diamondbacks and just got traded to the Braves. So now both of her sons play in the Braves. So you know what I did? I made her a big print. I had shots of her son.
Did you?
Absolutely. I had shot her son. He was with the Tampa Bay Rays when I was shooting the Rays. And so I go, I have shots of your son. And she was so sweet.
Marginal shots, by the way. But
I sent her a whole grid of 9 with his name and everything. And Brad printed it for me.
Not marginal,
And
you know what I mean.
She was very, very nice, and she was really sweet. And I felt like really bad after I said how much I don't like shooting baseball. And then she's like, "Really? My son's a baseball player." I'm like, "Of course he is."
Yeah, that's good.
Hey.
Insert foot in mouth.
I made up for it though. I sent her a beautiful
that was
print.
nice.
And she was very. She was actually. We had a very nice chat. She was a lovely, lovely woman. Okay, so I guess it's giveaway time.
It is giveaway time. So we
It
got
is giveaway
Stacy's
time.
book, and we got the
Stacy's
Rogue
book has got it going on.
Rogue Flashbenders and your Lightroom book.
Stacy's book has got it going on. I'm sorry.
Go to kelbytv.com, and you're going to see a contest link up there.
All right, if you want the Photoshop World one, you need to write in there, I want to go to Photoshop World Vegas. And so that way, if your name is chosen, we don't send you Rogue Flashbenders.
And just keep in mind, this does not include airfare. So you will have to pay for
it's a full conference pass. It's not like
exorbitant airfare at the last
Delta
minute.
airfare.
So just go to kelbytv.com/contest, and you'll see it right up there.
And we're giving away my book, too. So remember, our prizes are the Stacy's book, the Rogue Flashbenders, you can
Lightroom
put
book?
Scott's Lightroom book or Photoshop World. Put in there what you want to win, and we'll pick you, and we'll let you know. When do we let them know, Brad? Next week? Somehow we let you know, right?
We have a contest picker person that lets it. Yeah.
Okay.
the Photoshop world won't have to be.
All right. Hey, there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Can we scroll back on the prompter? There was just one last thing I wanted to cover. We didn't get to cover. There was one comment. We talked about watermarking, how many images, categories.
Categories.
Okay, we really didn't talk about this. I wanted just for 5 seconds before we go. So, how many categories to have? And it's interesting because I think this is another one of those less is more. I think,
This is a tough one.
It is a tough one because some people shoot a wide variety of things. But I can tell you what, I really want you to put yourself in the position of someone looking at your site. It's hard to get anybody to your site in the first place. When you're there, if there's 15 categories, it's almost like I'm not really going to get to see representative of what's there. I'm going to choose whatever one is maybe interesting to me, maybe one more, and I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I've never looked at 15 categories. I've never looked at 10. I've never looked at 5. I'm lucky to look at 2 or 3 of whatever you're going to do. And I would much rather go to your site and just show me 2 or 3 than I would 15. I think it's information overload.
And so personally, what I've done, and I actually got this idea from you, is I just have you go to my homepage and there's the one landscapes category. There is a personal work that I have below that, which is kind of like everything. It's my travel, it's any sports that I've done, it's anything else that I've done. I can't imagine. I look at my website stats and it's such a low percentage of people that do that. But I'm at this point where I'm leaning toward keeping it the way it is, but it's like I have enough waterfall shots for a waterfall category. I have enough beach shots and for a beach category, but I'm still keeping it, like my inclination is to keep it exactly as it is.
How would it help you to do that? If you added a waterfall category and you put 24 waterfalls there.
It's a personal thing. It's like, you want to show them all off, but you can't.
Is Waterfall Magazine going to call you?
Yeah,
Waterfall Magazine.
Waterfalluser.com.
So anyway, but I don't think it would help you.
I just have one, so I just really have the one category. The personal works just for.
Yeah. So and I got to tell you, I say this when I tell you keep your images down low. It's one of the hardest things to do ever. It's one of the things that I hired Stella Kramer, the consultant, for that is to help me to get it down to the number that it should be, to make the tough choices. And sometimes I've had friends say, "Look, I can't get rid of these. You got to pick them for me," because we get emotionally attached to them. We see things in the photos that the public doesn't see. Mm-hmm. Like apparently, I saw something in that one photo that Matt and RC and Brad were all gagging over. That I see something in there, and I do. I look at it. And I remember, that was a beautiful day, and this happened, and that was so much fun.
Crowd ward, or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I see that, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want, And then they're like, yeah, I don't get that.
RZF Images says, what if you're already going to Photoshop World? Do you get a pass to the next one? No. And I can tell you didn't win. Let's see. There's also a difference between...
So this Brad's comment, there's also a difference. Is this your comment, Brad? So Brad says there's also a difference between someone who's been only shooting for a short time and someone who's been shooting for 30 years and have enough amazing work to create more categories. But what I would tell you is, if you look at somebody like Jay Maisel, who's been shooting for more than 30 years, or Joe, or some of those, they don't have 15 categories, right? And Joe doesn't have 15 categories. Baloney, go pull up his site. Brad doesn't know. Brad makes up erroneous stuff. There's 3 main categories. All right, let's go to Joe McNally.
I'm there. Portfolios. Let's see.
Yeah, he's got.
Holy crap.
Well, he has some subcategories. He has campaigns, special products, and then he's got people. He has environmental portraits. He's got people portraits.
But he's got the catalog of work to sustain it.
He does have the catalog. Yeah. Well, he's Joe, for goodness sake.
Here's what I would say. I'm willing to bet you that Joe's favorite best photos are the photos that
scroll in the opening thing.
Scroll on the opening page. If you want to see more, then you're a person that probably needs to go to look for more, or you just want to surf Joe's website.
Hey, you know what Stella told me? Can I tell you something Stella told me? That photo editors hate scrolling slideshows that run themselves like that. She said photo editors, in general, not everyone ever born, but they don't like that self-running stuff. If it runs without you and you go to the site and it starts going, they don't like it.
Interesting.
That's why mine's static.
Yeah.
Do you know why? because I paid her. I'm going to listen to her. So funny. She was talking to me. She says, people hire her and they're like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And she's like, why'd you hire me? I hired her and I did everything she said to do.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, because I'm paying a consultant. But people do this. So I just had a talk with somebody about this recently. It's like I always talk about. I think people ask me in an interview, "What's the key to your success?" I go, "You know what the key to my success is? I take people's advice, right? If there's people that I trust, and I go, what do you think? I'm not trying to get them to say what I hope that they're going to say, because I think when most people ask advice, what they really want you to do is not really tell them what you think. They're hoping, Matt, please tell me that you agree with what I was already going to do." Mm-hmm. But when I ask people's advice, and sometimes they'll say something that's so different than what I thought, and I'm like, this is somebody I trust, and my wife is the world's best at advice. I hear my wife give people advice, then she hangs up the phone, I'm like, that was brilliant. That was unbelievable. You know how many people take her advice? Nobody. And it goes down exactly like she said it was going to go down if they went the other way. And I'm like, everybody should listen to her advice. I take her advice. It works like magic. So and you guys came in and had the intervention? Dude, I took that image out of there. I wasn't like, nope, You guys are wrong. That dispassionate other person looking through another set of eyes. Why is it so easy to give advice for somebody else? Because you're seeing it without the emotion. You're seeing the photos without the emotion. You're seeing their relationship without the emotion. You're seeing their business without the emotion. It's very easy to step back and look and go, oh, it's so obvious. This is what to do. When you're in it, the emotions are so strong that it's very hard for you to see what to do. So that's why. And so I think a lot of times we'll go, well, I know that they're saying it should only be 24 images. I know that there's people out there that are paid to do this. They're saying limit your images, but I really feel like I got to put that one picture of the product shot in there, And I think it's a very hard mental thing for people to really take advice if the advice isn't what you wanted to do anyway. Mm-hmm. You're really looking for validation of your idea, not direction. Yeah. And if you look for direction in just all of life, I think your life will be easier because it's so much easier to, think about it, man. How many times have you looked at somebody else's situation at work, at home, with their photography and go, man, if they would just do blank, this. It's so obvious. Everybody sees it but them. And so I think that really applies to photography.
Yep, I'd agree.
Well, Matt, I've had a lovely time today.
You know what we don't talk about enough?
Love?
Yeah.
We don't. We had to do a whole show and we just talk about love.
It'll be a short show.
No, it would be. Well, you want RC on that show because he oozes love.
All right, so we're out next week. We're at Photoshop World. We'll see you back here in the week after next, whatever date that is.
Hey, it was nice? Can I tell you something? When I was in San Jose yesterday, I asked the crowd how many people watched the grid. Dude, there was a ton of people out there that watched the show.
Oh. Hi, San Jose.
San Jose. Do you know the way?
I love that area. Well, when I was in South San Francisco last, it was an awesome crowd. It was like one of those magical crowds.
Magical. We call it. We have a name for it. The magical unicorn crowd.
We get back from a seminar. It was the magical unicorn crowd.
And then you know what it is? It really makes a difference in your presentation. If the crowd's into it, then you're into it, and the energy goes back and forth. It goes back and forth and back and forth.
All right.
And omega and out. See you guys next week. Nope. See you guys in 2 weeks on the grid. Peace out.
This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by InPix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. On One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, rogue flash vendors for speedlight enthusiasts. Intel, the power you need for hardcore creatives. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional photography website. And B&H Photo, the professional source.